I'm Lucy, I'm from NUS, which is the National Union of Students, and I've recently been leading on a dialogue project in further education colleges that aims to explore tensions around faith and sexuality that may exist within the college through the use of participatory dialogue methodologies. There are several key kind of aspects of this style of training. I think that it is a really genuine way of exploring issues that exist in a multicultural society, and the reality that we all have different aspects of our identities, and you can call those the 9 protective characteristics, but essentially you can't deal with those characteristics in isolation, and there will always be tensions and conflicts between those different aspects of our identities. And so I think there's a huge value in this style of work to apply the approaches across the board, looking at all different types of equality tensions, not only faith and sexuality. And in doing so, that then means the style of work is applicable to a very broad range of contexts, whether that's educational contexts or work-based learning, for example. And one of the things we talked about is the potential to include this style of approach when doing cultural awareness training, particularly within the workplace. Because there's a general sense with cultural awareness training, from my perspective, is that it's perceived to be quite one-directional for a lot of people. They would see it as some kind of imposition of a kind of liberal worldview whereby everybody gets on, we all need to be nice to each other, and everything's going to be fine. But the reality is, in a multicultural society, that just isn't the way it is. And so the benefit of dialogue approaches is it's not about getting agreement, it's not about right or wrong, it's about stretching the boundaries of the relationships we have with each other that allows greater scope for understanding, listening, like genuinely listening for different people's experiences. And so kind of subtly changing our approaches to other people without necessarily being told to, because the key to dialogue is really about exposure. It's about increasing interaction with people who are different than you, and this, I feel, is a much more creative way of approaching cultural awareness training, rather than this is what these people think, this is what those people do. It's about actually face-to-face, interpersonal communication where we learn from each other rather than a teacher standing at the front telling us what's right or wrong.
So you've spoken about this being in the workplace,
yeah.
But how would you see this in like a vocational, in a classroom context? And we spoke about possibly it's working with like sector-based works, or
I mean, I think genuinely you could apply it anywhere, and the benefit of these methods is that they are quite light in a way, and you can kind of sneak them into lots of different areas, so it'd be quite easy to use these approaches across the curriculum, whatever your curriculum is. And if you were doing, say, work-based learning or a vocational course, then it might be about considerations of the kind of clients or people that you would come into contact in your work. So say, for example, somebody's working in a call centre in a local council tax office, then thinking about the kind of people that they're likely to be on the phone with, and thinking then about how aspects of our identity and culture may play into that relationship that you develop over the phone.
Speaking about challenging prejudice in the classroom.
Yes.
So just in terms of how you spoke about seeing a person as a whole person.
Yeah.
And so, because I think that quite relates very well to the teacher and the class that they've got.
A key part of the training that we've done has really been to very much kind of focus on the individual and not the label that we either attribute to ourselves or other people attribute to you. So I could say to you, I'm a white woman, you are a Chinese man, or I could say to you, well, you're a Muslim and I'm a Christian. But the point is that just because you're a Muslim and I'm a Christian doesn't mean that I'm going to think or feel or believe all of the same things as other Christians or you with Muslims. So it's about looking about diversity and difference between different groups, but also within them, in the reality that you need to, different levels of assumptions and prejudices that we all have about each other. And so the challenge for teaching staff or a facilitator or anybody in a kind of learning environment is to make sure that you genuinely have an open mind. You try and keep your assumptions in check, and you try to judge each individual person on your interaction with them, not on the characteristics that you assume that they have.